Hey folks, Matt Kuda here. Today we're going to look at what happens behind the scenes. This is the first in a series of photographs, or not photographs, excuse me, live presentations about what it takes to be a nature photographer. And as you can see, I am in some funny looking garb here. And the first part of this series, I'm just going to look at um, what it takes on a daily basis. So, wildlife photography is about a lot of what you're seeing right here. It is sitting in a blind. This is a very portable blind. Um, it's designed to actually, if I were to puff this out here, you would see that the camera would or the lens would go here, and it would kind of puff out, and I could see where the lens is, and you kind of see the hole there in the for the lens. I will sit in this blind or blinds like it for hour upon hour upon hour. When you see a pretty bird picture or you see um, a picture of a deer or a picture, well, not so much the elk, but with deer or any particularly birds, I will be in some kind of blind. It might be a car blind. It might be a blind like this. It might be a pop-up blind, but I will be nonetheless in a blind. And that is just part of the game, right? That is part of the game. And I can tell you right now, sometimes it's very cold. And sometimes right now I'm burning up. Like I'm burning up sitting here right now in this blind that's made for the outdoors. So I'm going to take this crazy thing off for a minute. And talk a little bit about that. There are primarily, three different blinds that I would typically use. The car blind is my number one blind. Literally, your car is a blind. The photograph of the cardinal that I'm going to be giving away, and I'll talk about that more in a minute, was done from a car blind. Camouflage is still involved there. I camouflage my windows so that people can't, so the birds can't see me. Don't care if people see me, but cars make incredible blinds because wildlife, especially in urban, semi-urban areas, and even out in the country, birds are used to seeing cars, and so that makes an incredible blind. They're not afraid of cars. They see them all the time. They see them in your driveway. They see them at the park. So it's not a big deal, right? The other type of blind that I will use is this portable blind, like you just saw. I don't use that as often, but I will be using it next month when I photograph white-tailed deer. And then the third type of blind that I use is a pop-up blind. And these blinds are, or hides, as they call them in Europe, are designed to really conceal you, but give you a lot of movement. The blind you just saw, where I was kind of being silly, that is a blind that is used for quick and easy access to wildlife. Maybe you're hiking a long ways and you need to set up. It's very lightweight. You can just throw it over you and you're ready to go. Typically with a blind like that, you're going to be using a tripod because hand holding a lens is very difficult in that situation. So bottom line is, and these are not going to be long broadcasts. The first series is hiding yourself. That's the first number one point in wildlife photography, is hiding yourself. Animals are afraid of people. Newsflash, if you didn't know, wild animals are afraid of people, and we have to be able to hide ourselves. And we will be in that blind sometimes for, like I said, hours upon hours. It gets hot. I've been bitten by fire ants. I've been regularly bitten by flies, biting flies. Of course, mosquitoes. Um, I have not had a snake crawl in with me yet, but I have heard of many people who have. It is, it's the hazard of the trade. I'm not trying to say I'm better than anyone else. I mean, we all get bit by these things, but it's a hazard of the trade. So I guess if you want to get started in this kind of career, that is the number one problem, right? Is you have to be patient and you have to be able to hide. And it takes a long, long time. There's some days that, for instance, birds are very active. Other days you might be lucky to see 2 or 3 birds. It's a lot about food sources and water sources and all that. And that's down the road. We'll talk about that later. But just for today, realize that much of your time is spent in the field, sitting somewhere quietly. And I it's not a news flash to a lot of people, but I don't think people realize what goes into a photograph. And that's what the series is really about is, what goes into a photograph, because, they see an image out there and they're like, oh, big deal. It's an image of a bear, or it's an image of a squirrel, or a northern cardinal. What they don't know is that it took hours and hours to make that shot most of the time. Sometimes we get lucky. Sometimes serendipity happens and everything comes together within a half an hour. Sometimes it's hours. Sometimes it doesn't happen. It's like going fishing. Sometimes it just doesn't happen. Anyway, that's the first thing I wanted to talk about. The next thing I want to talk about is we've got a giveaway at Matt Kuda Nature Photography. And I'm kind of excited about this one. I like this shot. And a lot of people like this shot. This is a northern cardinal. And I'm sorry for the orangey or yellowy color here. But that's just the way the lighting and so on is making that look. It doesn't really look like that. It looks like the photograph. But you can see just how, it almost has a 3-dimensional quality to it, but that's the current giveaway this month. You can simply, to get into that, you just go out to mattkudaart.com, and at the top, there's a banner. You just click on the banner and it will, you can enter that to win this absolutely free. There is no obligation whatsoever. If you live in an area that is extremely remote and a long ways away from the United States, I might ask to chip in a little bit on the shipping. But if you're in the United States, Canada, I will ship it to you. No problems, no questions asked. And good luck to everybody. Really happy with this one. This is if you haven't seen it, it's a metal print. On the back, it's got the hanging fixture ready to go and a cool looking image. I got another one just to show you that I made for myself. This is of the hummingbird and petunias. You can see I can see my ring light there. That's interesting. One of my favorites, without a doubt. This is going up on my wall. It is available also out there at mattkudaart.com. And I just definitely probably in my top 20. This one would be maybe in my top 10, maybe even in my top 5. I don't know. I debated whether to put this as the giveaway, but the cardinal is much more popular for some reason. I am a huge hummingbird fan. That's my favorite bird. But I just want to encourage you, just a quick cast today to get kicked off with this whole behind the scenes look of nature photography. We're going to talk about equipment. We're going to talk about investment in equipment, what's needed, what's not needed. And hopefully, if you're an art buyer, you get a better understanding of what it takes to make the shot, first of all, and that there is a lot of effort and labor that goes into that. So when you buy a piece that I create, you're buying all of that, right? You're buying all that time, literally blood, sweat, and tears that go into each image. And that's something that that a lot of people just can't say. That's something that wildlife photographers in particular have in their product that no one else has. A painter doesn't necessarily have that, right? A painter, although I highly respect painters, I wished I was a good painter. A lot of it's from memory or from other people's photographs. And for the wildlife photographer, we are kind of like a hunter with a camera. And so you're getting that fresh. I was there. I saw this. It happened to me. And this is the result of how I felt that day, this is a result of getting bit 20 times by, a biting fly or whatever. I mean, there's literally blood, sweat, and tears in these things. And so I wanted to kind of share this whole behind the scenes thing. And for the photographers out there that follow Matt Kuta Nature Photography, it certainly will be interesting in the sense that I've talked about all these things in my podcast, but to be able to see some of this stuff with, and not just hear about it, but be able to see it right here in front of you is going to be helpful, I think. So I think it benefits both audiences to my work. And I really hope you enjoy it. I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Thanks for watching. Make it a great day. Get out there and enjoy nature. Bye-bye.